How do we find time to love ourselves first?
Best way to finding time is to put you in the beginning of your day. So before you get up out of the bed, of course, we gotta go brush our teeth, we gotta get, showers, we gotta do all these things, we gotta get the kids ready for school, we gotta go do this, we gotta do that. Just set that time to be 15 to 20 minutes, enough time before having to get up and take care of everyone else.
How can women begin practicing self love before they get to that point of a breakdown?
To realign yourself in a position to where you can start scheduling yourself, whether that's tonight or tomorrow morning, and just take about 5 minutes to breathe, to meditate, take time, take a bath. All is so many things when it comes to taking care of yourself first.
Hi, and welcome back to another episode and another season of the Woman Witness podcast on the Woman Witness TV network. I'm your host, Leah Fortier. Here on this platform, we bring to you voices of dynamic women that are out there making a positive impact in their lives, in their family, in the community around them. Women of faith, women of resilience, women who have battled through something, and they are bold enough, strong enough to turn around, grab the hand of another sister, and be a witness. Today, I'm so excited to welcome my special guest, Zipporah Israel. She is a mother of three, an author, entrepreneur, and a hair specialist from Detroit, Michigan. Raised through challenges of single motherhood, Zapora turned life's obstacles into purpose. She is passionate about giving back through free braids, braiding classes, and community outreach, especially to young girls and the elderly. Zapora is the author of Intensify the Woman Within, Stepping into Purpose, where she encourages women to heal, to grow, and to step fully into their called positions. Today, she will share the insight on self love, healing, boundaries, and finding purpose. I am so excited to introduce to you my guest today, Miss Zipporah. Hey, Zipporah, welcome to the well. How are you today?
I am doing wonderful. Thank you. Thank you so much. That was a wonderful introduction. And I am so happy to be here to be able to speak to you on those topics that you just discussed. So thank you so much.
Of course, hey, Zipporah, I wanted to start by just congratulating you on writing your book. Okay? It takes so much for people to finish it, okay? And you finished and you wrote it and you are here to share it with us. Thank
Yes,
you.
thank you so much.
Of course, I'm excited to get into it. So before we dive into your book, Sephora, I want to stop. Okay, you're doing so many wonderful things. You do hair braiding classes. You offer hair braiding classes to the youth and the elderly. I can see your background behind you. I think it's amazing. I love what you do. So beyond your titles, tell us a little bit about the woman that you are today.
Okay, so before I go into that, I do braiding classes for young women and children, and I do giveaways or free braid styles for the elderly. So I just want to make sure that we understood that part. But the question to answer your question, you was asking me what do I do currently right now and how's life going with me.
Yes. So yeah, I mean, you're an author, you're an entrepreneur, you're a mom. What shaped the woman that you are today?
So for one, being a mom, that let's start there. Okay. I am a mother of three boys that for one, when you become a mother, it's almost like you forget about yourself for a moment. So starting with that, I had to right now just come back into grips of finding myself, but also loving my children at the same time and having a connection with them. So things are going great once I came back into the understanding that don't lose yourself in the midst of all of the stuff that's going on around you with business, with family, with kids, with relationships and so forth. So because I have my business, I'm a braid specialist and I teach braids, and I'm also pivoting, and we'll talk about that a little bit more. But
Okay.
just right now, just being able to breathe and just sit sometimes is just what I'm actually stepping more into these days, where it's like, okay, I've made the foundation, I've took those steps to make a foundation for myself and make sure that I'm, building my business. And I've been doing my business for about 5 years now, but in the braid world for about 30 years. So just being able to just take a moment to breathe and put some things into perspective to where everything is not like, crazy every
Right, right, just
right.
figuring it out.
Yeah.
Yeah. Mhm.
So right now things are really looking up and it's beautiful. Like just being able to have a connection with myself and my kids and being able to just breathe.
Yes, I know that's right. I love it. And I love you said you've been in the industry for 30 years, right? And you didn't just wake up and this happened. You have a book of clients, you built that foundation. So I love that you're at least taking that and you're giving back to the youth. Um, so they know how to do it where I don't know, I'm pretty sure we'll get into it if you had a mentor to teach you how to do it. Uh,
Yeah, so with that, I really didn't have too much of anyone to teach me. But one thing about it, because as a young girl, I've always was an entrepreneur. Now my mother was an entrepreneur, and that's where I got the entrepreneurship mentality from and being able to step into that. She was the one who initially taught me how to braid. But from there is like you pretty much learning and growing. But I've had mentors as far as not physical, but when it comes to the reading the books that I've had and the information videos that I've been privileged to be able to be mentored beyond, the entrepreneurs in the world today. Like that's where a lot of my mentoringship and growth and learning came from. My mother had a little I love her. That's my mother. I love her so much. She did have some um help when it came to the education part of it, but
yeah.
it took some me to sit down and
Yeah.
do some reflecting and inner work on my own self.
Well, I hope that's what we're gonna get into today by talking through your book, and I wanna just jump into it. You sent us a copy and what in the different chapters that you would like to discuss, so I wanna go ahead and jump into those. I wanna jump into, Love Yourself First, which is your first chapter that you sent us. So when you say love yourself first, what does that really look like in real life, especially as women and mothers, caregivers, and we're constantly pouring into others? How do we find time to love ourselves first?
Well, I always say the best way to finding time is to put you in the beginning of your day. So before you get up out of the bed, of course, we go to, we got to go brush our teeth. We got to get, showers. We got to do all these things. We got to get the kids ready for school. We got to go do this. We got to do that. But if you just give yourself that extra, I would say 15 to 20 minutes before everything starts, if it's 5:30, 6:30 in the morning, 7, whatever them times are for you, just set that time to be 15 to 20 minutes, enough time before having to get up and take care of everyone else. So
Yeah.
loving yourself first is thinking about yourself in the beginning. If I'm not in a position, my mind is not in a position, meditation, and making sure that I'm in a state of mind to be able to take care of the kids or take care of the spouse or take care of the everyday the business and things like that, then that's when things to me fall apart. So loving myself first, and the reason why that chapter, and just to go before I even speak about that, I actually this book was published last year, 2025.
Okay.
And I started to be on my journey I would say over 15 years ago. Just learning about self-love, self just growth and just wanting to be a better mom, better person. Overall. And so when I came up, the title of my book came first. Like I didn't even know what the book was going to be about. I just the name of it just popped up in my mind based on the things I was doing in my life. The title came, and then years later, maybe about 5 years later, is when some of the chapters start to flow. Then once the chapters start to flow and I lived a little bit and I experienced a little more in life, that's when the words began. And so when I started to look at that and come and with the title Love Yourself First, that was one of the main ones because it was like I was thinking of everybody and wanting to make sure I please everybody. And by all means, I love people and want to do the best I can for people, but I'm neglecting myself a lot of those moments, and I was allowing others to take advantage of me and not understanding that, you know, before I have a breakdown, I need to pause for a minute and really come to grips with love myself first so I can be able to pour into others.
Oh, okay, I like that so much. And you literally answered the next question I was gonna ask is, like, when did you realize when you said that you were getting ready to you felt like you were gonna have a breakdown, like, "Okay, where do I find myself?" And that was your hard stop, right? That I need to start loving myself. Let me ask you, how can women begin practicing self-love before they get to that point of a breakdown?
I would say start now. Like
Okay,
today.
start now before anything?
Like my
Before
thing is before you continue on and
Yeah.
if before you continue on in your life, if you haven't reached that point to where you're about to break down, I
Mhm.
would say pause. Take
Okay.
the day to breathe, to realign yourself in a position to where you can start scheduling yourself, whether that's tonight or tomorrow morning, and just take about 5 minutes to breathe, to meditate, take time, take a bath, go get your hair done, whatever that may be, whatever that may be. All is so many things when it comes to taking care of yourself first. There's a list, and it's so, we don't have that time to just name it all, but it's so many things that you can do. But I would definitely suggest before going into a moment to where you actually just have lost it and broke it down, it's just to stop right now and breathe and take some time out to start prioritizing yourself and writing things out and planning your days and planning your time to where you feel like okay, you have more control of it than it has control over you.
What are some of those signs, Zipporah? What does it look like when we begin to neglect ourselves, maybe emotionally or mentally?
Okay, so if you look around and your house may be, under rag, or maybe you're looking at yourself and your business is falling apart, or you don't have certain things coming in as far as if you're working, even if you don't have a business, if you're working and you're just going to work and not really filling up to going to work, or
On
you just
autopilot.
with the kids is talking and every time the kids say something you're snapping, or you're
Mm,
you're going and making people feel the way you feel, and
mm.
that could be causing the emotion of the depression or the distress to you're taking it out on other people. So, around you. So if you have any of those type of characteristics coming out, or you just really closed off and not wanting to talk, and not saying being isolated is a bad thing. It's a difference between being isolated and just being depressed. So sometimes people think isolation is a bad thing, but sometimes that's regrouping and pivoting yourself into coming into a better person to you're you closing off distractions more so than just being depressed. So when you start really looking at that stuff that's going on in your everyday life and you're starting to not care or not really pay attention to it, then that might be a little sign to where okay, you it's some things going around. You might need to just take a moment and breathe and not let yourself get too far away to where you're now hurting yourself or hurt somebody. I would definitely say this.
I like that as a part. So pretty much what you're saying is that if we ever catch ourselves like in that autopilot mode, right? And I think sometimes we do it as moms, right? We're just on, especially if we're lacking sleep. We have so much on our plate. We're just on autopilot. I want to get into your next chapter that you sent us over, Zapora. You talk about letting go. So letting go, it sounds so simple, right? They have that song on Frozen, Let It Go, right? But oftentimes, it's one of the hardest things to do. It's so hard to let go of what we once knew, what we once had. What have you personally had to let go in order to step into your purpose?
Well, I had to let go of the old mindset. I had to let go of past hurts. I had to let go of the fear of not knowing. So that yes, you made a great point. It is difficult to let go, especially when you're so used to things being a certain.
Uh-huh.
And when you are so like, oh, I know if I do this, this is going to happen. It's almost like you got to really step in out of who you used to be to become the person you actually want to be. So let go of all of the past hurts, past traumas. And it's not saying that, you're not going to experience things in life, but when you get to a better space to me of letting things go that no longer serves you, that's really what you're letting go of. You're just letting go of the things that is holding you back to becoming the woman you want to be. And sometimes you might not even know what that woman is until you let it go. And that's what I had to learn. Like you think that, oh, because you're holding on to what you was raised with, you holding on to the other people's thoughts about you, you're holding on to neglect or whatever things that you might have experienced trauma in your life, thinking that that is who you are. But really, really start to let go and it could sometimes be people. It could be people, it could be the places that you're at that you have to actually let go of in order for you to find you and become the woman you want to be.
Yeah. Yeah, that is so good. You are on it, right on it with that mindset, right? Let go of that mindset, let go of those traditional ways, those religious ways. I mean, come on, whatever it is that we're battling with, that rejection, I could not agree with you more. Let me ask you, how do women know when it's time to release a relationship, release a habit, or just a mindset? How do we know?
When you
How we know it ain't them?
when you done got to the point of being sick and tired of being sick and tired,
No, that's right.
when you're
Um,
finding
mm,
yourself being stuck. And that's how I
mhm,
feel like you will know when it's time to let something go when you continue to repeat a cycle. When you continuing to live and you saying to yourself, well, I don't want to live in this way or I don't want to be this person, but you continue to see yourself in situations that you constantly saying you no longer want to be a part of. Then
mm.
that at that point, that's when it's time to either let that situation, that person, so that stuff don't continue to come into your life. Like it is signs that will come up that you will be looking at and paying attention to, even if you are a person that is paying
Mm.
attention, and if you are a person who is receptive or even accepting some form of change, then you're going to start paying attention to those moments and you're going to know just when it's time to let go. It's going to be a feeling, and it's also going to be just like I said, when you're tired or being sick and tired, you're gonna be like, you know what? It's time for me to let that go.
Why I you had me on the floor when you said, tired of being sick and tired, 'cause I know we've been there. We all been there. Let me ask you, why do you think it's so hard for so many of us to just let things go that are hurting us, that are serving 0 purpose for us?
Because we want to almost think that whatever it is that we letting go of will damage us more than help us. So, for instance, and I'm gonna give an example. I'm gonna give my. I like to talk about me a little bit, and
Yes.
because it's best to talk about your experience.
Yes.
You saying, "Hey, you got to let something go," right? So, for one, it was a lot of pain. I've lost my children's father. I've lost um people in my life, but that was something that was very hurtful because that was somebody who I've had children with. But it was a lot of the and bless his soul, but that was a lot of hurt that was there before he passed that I was holding on to, that of wishing that would something change. And it was years that we wasn't no longer together before he passed, but it was still certain things that I was holding on to, emotional wise, came to my kids and him. And so when I had to finally let go of the pain, and I'm gonna give one part of it. It was a mental thing, which was mental abuse. Allowing someone else to love me, to not holding that my past experience into my future or into my present moment of wanting to be in a relationship and not thinking that that person was going to do the same thing. So I had to really understand that it's not going to hurt me to let it go, but it's actually going to help my situation to let go of the pain and to forgive no matter what, to forgive him and make sure that I'm not carrying that on into my life so I can have a healthier and better relationship with the person that I do want to be with.
Yeah. Oh, that's good. Well, I'm sorry to hear about your loss. And thank you for being vulnerable and sharing that with us because I think it helps us to, and this is why I always say about being a witness because God will bring you through something that you're able to talk about and that we can relate to, just by you being vulnerable and bringing us into, a tough time where you had to let go. And, let me ask you, what are some practical steps that listeners can take today to begin to let go of some of those mindsets, some of those past hurts or the rejection or even that abuse or trauma that we've experienced in the past?
I would say the first step is forgiveness. Think about whatever those hurts and pains was. That person probably was not themselves at that time that pains and hurts was being brought to you or caused a lot of that. A lot of times we take hurt and pain that we don't know was given to us without our permission. And I as and I don't want to speak because my children's father was not a bad person, very
Yeah.
good person. But sometimes when you have been put on in a certain situation or an environment, sometimes that is where the pain and hurt comes from. And now that person is picking that pain and hurt up. And now they're projecting that pain and hurt to the next person or people
Mm,
and they love. And then they call that love. And so the thing is to me, one step is to actually forgive that person. And I know sometimes a lot of people say, well, it's hard to forgive. It's
oh
hard.
yeah.
Really hurt.
Yeah.
And they really, really did this to me. But if you really look at that person as a child, look at them as their child self, more so than in the state that they're in now if they was an adult when they hurt you. And then that will probably, if you look at them as in a child state and say, okay, with this person, if they were in this mind frame, which is a childlike mind frame, if we really look at all of us as that, then we have to understand that when you're a child, you're innocent. And so, as being a child, because you're innocent and you're picking up these habits or picking up these pains and hurts from other people, then you have to almost look at it and say, well, that person probably wouldn't have done this if they were in this situation or environment to begin with. So, that right there is a step that I would say first.
I love it, and and trust me, coming from my past trauma, right? I can say it is hard, but we have to do it because what does it say? Forgiveness is not for them, it is for you.
And it also frees you, and
Amen.
it does
Yeah.
really
Yep.
free them. It frees you to becoming
Who
the person that
yeah.
you actually want to be. And it really relieves all, and I'm not gonna say it's just gonna happen automatically.
No.
It's just
Steps to this, layers to this.
realistic when it comes to that. It's not gonna happen automatically. You're still gonna probably wake up some days and think about certain things. And that right there, you have to know in yourself that okay, it's okay. Like, eventually keep going. If you keep listening to things, doing things that will help you to, and I say all the time, it's not a easy step, but if you take those moments and you take time and say, okay, when those moments come up, whether it be the next day, later on in the year, whatever the case may be, then you actually say, okay, write it out. Write those moments out. Burn. Some people say, write the hurt down, burn it, and put it out into the water and let it go. That a
Yeah.
lot of people do things in just ways of feeling like they're letting something go. And
Yeah.
eventually over time, and it's not gonna, I promise you, it's not gonna happen overnight, but over time,
Mm.
when you continue to just step into purpose, focus on yourself, focus on your growth, focus on those the things that you actually the great positive aspects of your life that you want to become, then you start to let go of some negative aspect. And that is being a negative aspect is about holding on to just hurts and pains. That's a negative aspect of things. It's not saying that you're a negative person, but it's a negative aspect of you that will, be released.
Yeah, I like that. Let me ask you about your next chapter. You talk about don't be afraid to cry, and society often teaches us that women teaches us as women to be strong and silent, right? Very strong and silent. That's why we carry the weight, you know. So why is crying and emotional release so important to our overall healing process?
So I just want you to know I do have my book right here, but because I've
Yeah.
experienced so much of it, I'm not even
Yeah.
out of my book. It's because for one, I wrote it, but it's life experience. It,
Yes.
my book
Been
called
through it.
Life Experience.
Yeah.
And it's like you just said, we've been taught to be so strong and just to hold on that
Yeah.
I realized that the more I held on, the more I hurt it.
Hmm.
So
Mm.
it was like the tears I used to didn't even want to cry in front of my kids. I used to just
Mm.
be like, I'm not gonna cry, I'm gonna get through this. Man, I sit and cry in a moment.
In a moment.
Because the reason why I
It's too heavy.
so much better. I feel
Mm.
cleansed. I feel healthier. I feel more like all is well and it's gonna work out. Yes, I got through this. It's to me crying. If you don't cry, it's almost like you hold on to the emotion of whatever you're feeling. And so whenever that is held in, it
Yeah.
gets bigger. It
Yeah.
gets bigger, it
Yep.
gets bigger, and it grows. And now you're ready to bust. And once that busts, you never know what
It's gonna come
is
out.
gonna come.
Or
And
when
I'm
it's gonna
telling you,
bust.
it's not gonna be a good sign or a good thing that's gonna come out of it. So don't be afraid to cry. Like if you gotta, and it's not saying you gotta be a crybaby and cry about everything. You know what I'm saying? But if you don't feel ashamed that you had to take a moment because you had to deal with work today and they just, wasn't understanding you and you hurt and they don't know what you might be experiencing at home. And now that feeling or that then bottled up. And now you dealing with kids or you dealing with whatever the things is in life that came up. Some people might not understand what you're going through and you're just holding on to everything. Stop holding on. Stop holding on. Go to that room, go to, a quiet place if that's okay, if that's how you feel. It don't have to be always a public thing, but
Right.
just don't be afraid to cry. Don't feel like because you're crying, you're being weak.
Mm.
Matter of
Mhm.
fact, you're being strong by letting it out because you're gonna feel much better than you was letting holding it in.
Yeah.
That right there is a strength.
Amen. Yes, being vulnerable, right? Was there ever a moment where you actually allowed yourself to cry and it brought like freedom instead of weaknesses or weakness?
Oh yes, I was actually about to do it now. There's plenty of times that I've cried and I was like, "Woo, now I'm ready to go for the day. I didn't let that go. That's gone. And now I'm ready to step into getting whatever that may be at that moment, the time that I cried, done. It
Yes, absolutely.
whatever I needed to see. And sometimes I didn't get over crying right away.
Yeah.
As it took me a minute. And that's okay too. Sometimes if you just ready to just sit down in a bed and cry for an hour, do that. And
Mm.
do that. I always tell people just don't stay there. Don't stay in it because then at that point that will create depression. And we're not trying to cause depression. We just want you to feel better and know that, whatever you're going through at any moment of time, it's okay to cry, but it's going to be okay. And things are going to be worked out.
And let me ask you, what would you say to women who right now who are listening? They hear you. They're like, okay, Zipporah, I can't cry no more. I'm done. Like, what is this song? I didn't cry my last tear. I don't have nothing else to cry. They feel numb and overwhelmed. What would you say to them right now?
I feel compassionate for you. I send you love. I want you to know that there are other women out there that feels the same way. If you go around and you continue to pray for whatever that is that you feel like you can't cry no more about, and just leave it to God, leave it to Him. If you don't believe in God, that's okay too. Whatever you believe in, just know whatever that may be that you've experienced is going to work itself out, and give yourself that time for it to work out.
That's good. I like that. I couldn't agree with you more, Zipporah. Whatever it is, right? And we talk about, letting ourselves cry, letting ourselves feel. And, even as the Bible says, I know the plans that I have for you, plans to prosper you, right? So God already knows what you're going through. Sometimes another thing that the Bible says is that our spirit utters utterances that our mouths, we don't have the words for. So just by crying out, I just did a Bible study. It's called the Wailing Women of the Bible, which was
Yes.
an art. It was a job back in the day that women would just come, women and men, they would come and they would wail out and they would cry from the depths. And so it's okay to cry. It's
Mm,
okay to just lay there at God's feet. Lord, I don't even know what I'm crying about, but He
mhm.
hears, He knows,
Yeah.
He sees.
Give it to God. Give it to
Give
God.
it to Him. I
That
okay.
is.
I love that. I love that. Sorry. Look, I had a flashback to my Bible study real quick. Look, you talking about
Hey, I'm
crying.
feeling it from you.
Listen, listen. Let me calm down. Okay, let me go into your next chapter. You talk about healing a broken heart. Okay, so I want to talk to you, Zipporah, about heartbreaks. And now we understand that heartbreaks come in many different forms, right? From relationships to family betrayal to disappointments to trauma to rejection. I mean, heartbreaks can happen in all forms. So, what inspired this chapter?
Well, like you said, through relationships, through definitely having trauma. That chapter in itself came based on one day I said, I've allowed people to walk over my heart because I'm such a loving person. If you know me in real life, such a loving person. I want to give to the world. I'm always just wanting to make sure everybody's happy. And when you didn't had disappointments from rejections from relationships, um, doing all that you felt you can do to forgive and try to move forward in relationships and continue to be repeated cycles and things like that, or just trauma, a lot of that inspired me to say, you know what? Yeah, you're going to have some heartbreaks in life, but you can't keep letting it. It's not it's not okay. And you have to allow yourself to, again, going back into forgiveness, where, okay, yes, my heart has been broken. But how do I heal it? Because we do go through heartbreak, and that's a part of life. No one on earth, I don't think so far, and somebody can correct me if I'm wrong, unless they just a little baby and they had no experiences. But other than that, like, have not went through some form of something
Mm,
that they would be, even if they is a kid and their mom looked at them and said, "No, you can't have this piece of candy that they so want." That's a
mm,
heartbreak. I mean,
yeah.
that's a small, but it's to them is real big. But just a form of any heartbreak, you're going to go through something in life that's going to make you feel, Like, okay, I can't go through this no more. So
Yeah.
when it comes as you get older though, and you start going through those relationship heartbreaks and those trauma heartbreaks and things like that, you have to really, really, I really wanted to pinpoint healing the heart and becoming whole within your heart and not allowing those heartbreaks to take control of your life, and to not allow it to keep you stagnant into forming you to really want to break other people's hearts, because that will happen if you allow yourself to hold on to that heartbreak. Then at that point, now you're going to take out that emotion on someone else.
Yeah. Okay, I like that, and you're absolutely right. I mean, after so many heartbreaks, you're like, okay, enough is enough, right? Which leads me into your next chapter that you sent for us that you wrote about in your book, which is having healthy boundaries. So when we get to that point, right? When we are tired of being sick and tired, right? Why are boundaries so important for us to begin to set as women who are we're fed up, we're done.
It saves you. You start to become the woman you actually want to become now, because now you have set certain boundaries for your life. You have first found out the woman you want to be. Through that, now you have to say, okay, if I want to continue to be this woman, I have to say no to this, or I have to do this for myself, or I have to cut this and it's not to be mean, and it's not to shed people out of your life or to be nasty. That's not the type of, we want to continue to have love in our hearts, because a lot of people think that having boundaries is being mean, and that's why it's called healthy boundaries, because it's actually the health of your life. It will create you to have some form of peace in your mind, peace in your heart, peace in your family, peace in your life, to where now, because you are no longer accepting people to walk over you or to tell you what you will and will not do, when it comes to your life. Now you have taken control of it, and you
Yeah.
have set those boundaries to where now people have more respect for you,
Amen.
and because you're respecting yourself. You
Yourself.
have took over the respect of yourself, because I feel like without having boundaries, you don't respect you.
Mm,
And I'm one of those women that did that.
mm,
I did not know what boundaries was, and
mhm.
yeah, and probably to about 3 years ago is when I first heard the word boundaries. And I was raised a certain way in a certain belief system that I didn't even think you can have boundaries. I thought it was you had to do whatever it was you was told to do, and that was it. It was no boundaries around it. Until I had to say, hold on, wait a minute, but that's not matching my life core values, or that's not matching what I'm looking to do with my career, or with what I'm looking to do within my life with my relationship, or what I'm ready to do with my kids, or what I'm ready to do just in my overall person. Like, wait a minute, that's affecting this, or that's affecting something. And if it's not benefiting you in your growth in your life and stepping into your purpose, then at that moment you have to set healthy boundaries, or you will be disappointed a lot.
Yeah. I like it. Not just setting boundaries, but setting healthy boundaries. Amen. Zipporah, I want to thank you so much for coming and pouring this well and talking us through your book. But I still want to recommend that everybody goes and gets this book. Right? We need to have something that we can pick up that's tangible that we can flip to and pull out those nuggets whenever we need them. Um, Let me ask you, what kind of legacy do you hope to leave for young girls and women through your book?
Oh my goodness. I want young girls and women to definitely say, thank you for making a path for me to find out who I really am and step more into my purpose as the woman or the young girl that I want to be. Because that's a lot of times we get told who we should be. But with this book, and with me writing this for young girls and young women. I actually have another book for young girls. It's called I'm Pretty Positive and Unique. That's an affirmational journal for young girls. But I target young girls and women because for one, I was a girl. And you think about those moments when you was once a girl and you say, what is it that I want to be? What is it that I want to do? I know this person sees me as this, or I know this person in their life, they're doing this and they want to pass this down to me. But what is it that I came on this earth to become? And everybody has a purpose. We just probably haven't found out what that purpose is. And I'm not here to tell nobody what their purpose is. I'm here to tell you you have a purpose. And whatever that purpose is, you have the power to step into that with your own commission.
Okay, thank you so much, Zipporah, for coming in and pouring here at this well. We were so blessed by everything that you have dropped on our spirits today. Tell us where we can connect with you and where we can pick up a copy of that book.
Yes, and again, I appreciate you having me as well. So you can find me on Instagram at author Zapora. That's AuthorZippora8. It might be a forward slash before author. And also, I am on Amazon. My book is on Amazon, Anticipate the One Within. Also on my website, www.authorZippora.com.
Perfect. And I will be sure to put that in the information below. I want to thank my special guest, Zipporah, for coming here and pouring at the well. I want you guys to grab a copy of that book and grab a copy, tag us, snap a picture, and let us know your thoughts. Follow Zipporah on all social media. And thank you so much, Zipporah, for coming, pouring at this well. You were amazing.
Thank you so much, Leah, for having me. I really appreciate you and your time, and your spirit is so beautiful. I really appreciate you. Thank you.
Oh, thank you so much. All right, ladies, I want to thank you so much for tuning in to another episode of the Woman Witness podcast. I want you to I want you to subscribe, send this episode to a friend, send it to a sister who just needs a little pick me upper, a little pep in our step. And we hope that you were blessed by it. Of course, follow us on Roku TV, download that Woman Witness TV app, and catch your favorite episode on there. And perhaps you were chosen for such a time as this to write, to tell your story, your truth. Until next time,